everybody. Deanna Lay, CEO and founder of IKAGG. I know a guy / gal. I am here today with the phenomenal Patty Zubal of the Healthcare Solutions team. She's an independent health insurance broker. And wow, friends, you talk about not only an amazing human being, but also somebody super knowledgeable in her industry. I can't wait for you to hear more from her and about her. So Patty, welcome to the IKAG interview.
Hi, hi everyone.
So tell me, Patty, how did you get into the health insurance field, and how long have you been doing this? And tell me all the things.
Well, it's not that exciting of a story. My background is in human resources
Okay.
and spent half that time in corporate benefits and half that time as a field HR rep. And I
Okay.
got laid off.
Hmm.
And one of my friends who I volunteer with said, Patty, why don't you give this a try? And it was the a little mini recession was going on, so I did. So that's how I ended up here. I thought it'd be an easy transition since I somewhat knew the terminology from my previous life.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So you're able to take all of your experience and knowledge from the HR world and transition it into this, being your own boss as a small business owner. So how was the transition for you from corporate America into now running your own insurance business through Healthcare Solutions team?
well, I love being my own boss. That is phenomenal. But when you're commission only, uh, that is a stark reality in a transition.
Yeah.
So building up your income is not an easy task at the beginning.
Yeah, but 100% that the work you put into it, you get 100% out of, which is
Exactly.
absolutely phenomenal. So the work in and the output back is matches up versus making somebody else a whole bunch of money in the corporate world. So good stuff, good stuff. So tell me, what do you love about what you do?
Okay, this is going to sound very cliche, and it's meeting the people. And the reason I say that is I always love talking to people with different backgrounds,
Mm,
and particularly in the Medicare arena, which I also work in. Older people have such great stories.
yeah.
I met a gentleman who here in St. Louis lives on the Hill, which is a big Italian community. I said, "Are you first generation, second generation?" And he's like, "Well, my mom was pregnant with me when she immigrated." So, fascinating story. Another lady, she's retiring. She's not quite in Medicare, but we're building the bridge for her. And I said, "So what are you going to do with your free time now that you're retired?" She says, "I build and electrify miniature dollhouses." And that's what I mean. You meet so many fascinating people.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I do have to say, friends, that Patty is one of the best question askers I've ever met in my life. You talk about somebody who listens intently, remembers a lot, and then asks the best questions. It's no wonder that the people in hearing their stories is what you love most about what you do. It makes sense for who you are, for sure.
And
I
then I always have to have my own spin because the lady that's doing the miniature houses, I said, "Well, you're just a couple years older than me." And I said, "I know I wear bifocals." I said, "How do you see?" And that's what started a fantastic conversation. And she's invited me to her house to come see her work.
Oh my gosh. As somebody who grew up with doll houses and loving like miniatures, there was a place at Westport Plaza that used to have the best doll houses and sell the miniatures. And I could never have enough for sure. And by the time I could afford to buy my own, I had grown out of them. But anybody who has a hobby like that and you get to be a part of their life, even for just a small amount of time, as far as working with them on their Medicare. It's got to be
Right.
fascinating.
Exactly.
So you don't just like sign people up and then carry on with their lives. You really get to know people, it sounds like.
Oh, many I do, yes. Many have become friends, like meeting for coffee friends. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. When clients become more than that is the best way to run your business. So, when it comes to common misconceptions, healthcare, having health insurance, like you said, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but something that you're very passionate about helping people with, because I'm sure there is a lot of confusion out there in the world. What would you say is like the most common misconception about what you do?
Um, you really have to be an educated consumer and approach it the same way you would approach buying any large item. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is gone are the days for those of us who are old enough to remember where you went to the doctor or hospital and threw down your insurance card and thought everything was taken care of.
Yeah.
Um, Things aren't. And there are ways that you can save money by being a savvier consumer
Mm,
and using more than just the hospital as a resource for, let's say, imaging.
okay.
There's standalone facilities which will only cost a third of what the hospital would.
Interesting. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
don't have to take what a hospital or doctor orders at face value. We can actually do some research on our own and find out something that might be a better fit than what they're suggesting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or a different facility, as long as it's not life-threatening or that you're bleeding to death. So,
Yeah, don't check
but
yourself out
I
if
mean,
you're
if you twitched your knee and the doctor says you need to get an MRI, you can go down the hall.
Mm,
Maybe check in to see if there would be a cost savings to you by going to a standalone facility.
okay. So you not only help individuals with their health insurance, do you also help businesses like groups? And then you mentioned Medicare. So can you talk about those two things as well as far as services that you offer?
Yeah, we do have offers small group insurance. We can go as low as two people, but that's as long as they're not a husband wife. That's the lowest, but ideally you need at least five people.
Okay.
So we do help people, and it's a quoting process, just like we would for an individual.
Okay.
And then Medicare, when you're turning 65, well, actually, about the time you turn 64 and a half,
Mm.
people's mailbox explodes with all kinds of mailers. And we're able to help kind of siphon through all that and get narrow the choices down so people can make a good decision for their situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I would want to buy my Medicare off of a flyer that I get in the mail. It'd be so much better to reach out to somebody like you who's super knowledgeable. And it's not an easy certification to get to become a professional in the Medicare field. I know you mentioned that you have to take tests every single year to stay up to date. Is that correct?
Yes, we have to test every year, and that probably, if you consolidate it, 8 to 10 hours of your time. And then with each carrier, you have additional training that you must complete. Medicare is highly regulated, so you have to be very careful on how you message things. We now have to record phone calls or Zoom meetings, all kinds of stuff.
Because it's a space where people can get easily taken advantage of. And so
Absolutely.
you, as a Medicare advisor, you can't reach out to people specifically. You need people to reach out to you. And then from there, everything is very highly regulated to make sure that you're doing things in the best interest of the client. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you. You
Okay.
explained that better than I could.
Oh no, I only here's my thing, everybody. I only know what I know because Patty has taught me everything that I know. And it's from talking to her and using her listening as an example that I'm able to glean off of her expertise. But fantastic. And I mean, I know I trust you explicitly because of the work that you put into being an expert in your industry. What about somebody just starting out as a new business owner? You know, you've been through the early stages where you're building your business and building your referral partnerships and things like that. What would you tell somebody just starting out, whether it's in your field or in a different field completely?
One thing I was thinking about this earlier is especially for a newbie to have a mentor. And it doesn't have to be someone doing exactly, in your field.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, if you're an independent business owner, you have many more no's than you do yeses.
Yeah.
And you it's nice to have someone there that will cheer you on and push you forward when it's getting to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's by no means easy.
No.
There are some days where I'm like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm putting my feet on the ground, and then you have to bring back to mind why you're doing what you do and what you love about it and the why behind it. Because there are a lot of days that are tricky and trying to find, those people to surround you that will uplift and encourage you. I mean, I know that you're that person for me. Anytime I'm on the struggle bus, I can count on Patty to give me a good ear and a shoulder if I need it. And I think it's important, like you said, for every business owner to find somebody that they can bounce ideas off of. You actually are in kind of a mentorship role in your company too. You said that was something that you really loved about what you were doing, helping new
Yeah.
people, right? That's
Yes.
exciting.
So my manager, we had an influx of new people, so she asked some of her senior team members to help with training. And hey, I discovered I really enjoyed it. Number one, because I had done training in my previous career and loved it. And then also, when you have to train someone on how to do things, it makes you up your game and you're not as lazy as about it as if you're just being accountable to yourself.
I like that. Yeah, because
That,
then somebody else is watching and you're refining your skills, probably learning as much as you're teaching too, I'm guessing.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely fantastic. Well, anything else to share, my friend? You have any other thoughts before we part ways?
Um, One thing I will say for me, and of course now my dog is having to bark, so we'll give her a little poke. But building relationships has really been a key for me. I am not someone who is very good on the phone, which
Mm,
is a lot of our work does,
okay.
as far as trying to get new clients. So for me, building relationships has really made a difference. It's a longer term game.
Yeah.
It takes longer to build those relationships, but once you do, it's fantastic.
It is. I say all the time that relationships stand the test of time, indeed. And we've proven that they stand the test of a pandemic as well. And don't worry about your dog because your dog was barking and then my dog was doing a little bit of woof. So that's what happens on the IKAG interview, everybody. When you have dogs, you are at their beck and call, and that's all
Yes,
good.
yes.
Well, this has been an honor, like I said, and a privilege as always. Anytime I get to sit face to face with you, whether it's on Zoom or in person, it's always time well spent. Tell me, and everybody else, how people can get a hold of you. What's the easiest way? And I'll make sure to put all your information in the notes as well, but just letting people know, how can they reach you?
Phone call is always the easiest, and leave a message, because in this day and age, we aren't always apt to answer our phone if we don't uh, recognize the number.
Right, and it can come across as spam too. We don't want that, so leave a
Right.
message. Obviously, you can find her on, the IKAGdirectory.com, and I'll make sure to put information on her website and how to email her as well, but yeah, it's been great spending time with you, friend.
Yes, I loved it, even though it's out of my comfort zone.
You did great. And this is a great way for people to see you and get to know you and to know how great you are at what you do. Oh my gosh. Get to know her. She will ask you the best questions. And I promise you, you will leave there not only knowing more about the sometimes very confusing world of insurance and Medicare, but also with a friend uh, as well. So thank you, Patty. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.